Welcome back to Mondays with Megan. In my video a couple weeks ago, I said that I was going to expand on the topic of hating America, and that's part of my story. All throughout my growing up, as I've said, I was a liberal. That didn't used to mean woke. It didn't used to mean progressive, and I sort of just got funneled into that. But um, there was I don't really know where this came from. There was always this disdain for my country, and I don't remember explicitly when it came in. I don't explicitly remember being told America was terrible. I did do the Pledge of Allegiance until about third grade, third or fourth grade, and enough that I actually could still recite it today. But after that, I don't remember doing it. And I kind of remember just having this, just low grade dislike for America. I didn't really understand why so many people, like so many immigrants wanted to come here, which, sidebar, it's really weird to see the hatred of America from the outside now. Uh, but those are the same people that are demanding open borders and saying that we should just let anybody come that wants to come. Well, if you hate America so much, that seems a little bit inconsistent. So anyway, and we're back. I remember really, really, really wanting to leave, really wanting to move overseas and expatriate, probably since high school. I really had a goal. I've always wanted to live in Australia and New Zealand. For a while I thought they were the same. Um, and then I really wanted to move to Canada. And then I really wanted to move to Europe. And I bought all of these books about retiring overseas and moving overseas and living overseas. And I think I was too much of a scaredy cat to actually do it, because I have a nervous system turned up extremely on high. And I get fight or flight when I'm trying to answer an email. So I don't think I ever really would have pulled off living overseas, but I did travel overseas quite a bit. And I am very grateful for that opportunity. I did that a lot when I was younger. And I did go to Europe. I did go to Mexico. I have gone to Canada several times. I have not gone to New Zealand, sadly, or Australia. Although at this point, I'm not terribly sad that I did not end up moving to Australia or New Zealand or Canada. Um, but I don't remember questioning it. I don't remember questioning my hatred for America. I don't think hatred was always the word that would describe my relationship with the United States, but it was not gratitude. Um, and I was very judgmental of the people who really liked America, and I was very judgmental of the South and the people who had a lot of patriotism. But I didn't really explore that in a critical thinking way at all. So I don't know what happened that caused me to hate America so much. Um, I do know several years ago now, I don't remember what the occasion was, but my dad at one point said to me, if I knew the year you were born, what I know now, you would not have been born in this country. So probably some of the hatred for America was transmitted through uh, generations, so to speak. I didn't ask him why, and I didn't ask him what country would I have been born in. Um, because at that point I kind of agreed, like, oh yeah, that's unfortunate that I wasn't born somewhere else. Um, and I see now that that engendering of hatred for America is kind of all part of the plan of um demolishing the idea of nation states and toppling national sovereignty so that unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats, international bureaucrats, can rule the world, which really sounds like a conspiracy theory, and I really wish it was. But yeah, no, it is not. So there's that. Um, I still don't really understand how I got sucked in to the hatred of America, other than I think being on the left actually engenders that in a person. Um, and I'm not really sure which came first, the hatred of America or the recasting of the Constitution as racist, or how everything about America sucks or the 1619 Project. What's interesting is that the only countries that I really hear people like that are saying things like that compare the United States to are countries like Norway or Sweden, which really don't make any sense because first of all, Norway has a population that could tripled fit inside New York City. Second of all, something like that. Second, it's a very homogenous population. So the comparisons between the United States and Norway or even Sweden, I mean, it's like comparing apples to flamingos. It doesn't make any sense. Also, um, if you want to compare, you can't really compare the country of the United States to the country of Norway or Sweden or any of the European countries because our government is so different. It is so different than those countries. So it's really unhelpful. I mean, there are some things like, oh, sure, it might be aspirationally great to end homelessness, like the Scandinavian countries have pretty much done. Although, sidebar, once they have equalized everything socially, which they've pretty much done, they've, eliminated homelessness. They're not full on socialists, but democratic socialists, which I mean, slippery slope. The differences between men and women astronomically magnified, which no one thought, no one wanted, no one planned for. So there we are. Men and women are different. And we're back. And it doesn't make sense to compare the United States to really any other country because really no other country has a government that is comparable to ours. Our population is way more diverse than Norway's or Sweden's, which is what people on the left are calling for. So, like, oh, you want to be like Norway? Okay, so you want to be like majority white, majority wealthy, majority of all of the things that you're attacking people for privilege for. Really? You want to be dark and cold all the time? Also, yeah, no thanks. I should move to Phoenix or the sun. Where I live feels like an attic. Seattle is the attic of the United States. So, there's just this like simmering, smoldering, rampant discontent and lack of gratitude, to be honest. That I mean, and I experienced it a lot where like I grew up in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Of course, America has problems. Of course, there are really serious issues that need to be fixed. Our healthcare system is a disaster, first of all. And I'm griping about the freedoms that I have. Like, y'all, we don't even know. And the reason we don't know how many freedoms we have is because we haven't had to actually live in a world where they don't exist. And we are rapidly heading that way. And I'm not a fan at all. So and I'm not saying loving America means that we get to pretend everything's all kittens and moonbeams, because obviously there are quite a lot of problems here. But there are people who are risking life and limb to come to this country still. From socialist countries, PS. Anyway, so I don't know, aside from just this, my generation is not characterized by cynicism, but the generation before me is, the Gen Xers. And I think a little bit of that passed down. What passed down to us was just sheer terror that we shouldn't have children. It's morally irresponsible to have children because we won't have a livable planet for them, which that is child abuse to tell people that, and inaccurate. Also, just this like, oh, America's number one in incarceration and number one in healthcare costs. And it's just like, what about innovation? What about we're the world's superpower for a reason. I'm not saying that we should police the world's affairs. We definitely shouldn't. But if we really want to entertain an isolationist policy, we might be having this conversation in German if that were the case. So I'm not saying we should get involved in everybody's affairs, and this is really not about that. It's more just about, I was taught so strongly to hate America, but I wasn't really taught specifically that there are not a lot of other countries that are perfect, and not a lot of other countries that people like really, really, really want to come to. Yes, Europe has immigration issues. Yes, other places have immigration issues. Some places don't have immigration issues because they don't allow immigrants at all. But I could never really square once I realized, like, okay, so you all hate America, yet you're demanding that we have open borders. And I think you're doing it because you think we have a moral obligation to deal with the citizens from the countries that our horrendous foreign policy has wrought just total havoc on. But that also doesn't really make sense. You're like, yes, you should come here. We hate it here. And again, all the disclaimers. There are horrific things going on in America, not the least of which would have been revealed in the Twitter files earlier this year, that showed pretty clear collusion between the public and the private sector. The FBI directing Twitter. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard of at least some of this by now. So no, America is absolutely not perfect. And there's this really horrendous quote. This was going around social media 2017, 2018, definitely before COVID, where there would be like, I love my country, and because I love her, I can criticize her. And I'm like, so let's not equate love with abuse, please. If any little girl on the playground in public school when you're growing up get your hair pulled by a boy, or get sand thrown in your face, or get chased around by a boy in the playground, only to be told by the adults that just means he likes you. And then we wonder why we have so many issues in love now, like why the divorce rate is 50%, why we can't seem to have functional relationships. I'm not saying it's just because little boys chased you on the playground and pulled your hair. I'm saying when we hammer home this idea that because of love we can hurt and we can criticize, or hurt is evidence of love, you can't expect there not to be problems. So, but that's just a little bit of a sidebar. But this, like, oh, I love her, and because I love her, I can criticize her. Like, not saying you shouldn't be able to criticize, because I'm not one for censorship. But let's not equate love and condemnation. Let's not equate love and fear, please. Bible says the opposite. So, not to Bible thump anyone. And I carried this disdain for America until, I mean, it was active disdain too. It was very active. I was looking for reasons to hate America. Even presidents I liked, you're gonna be like Obama. When I liked Obama, I was like, wow, I feel really sorry for him. He's got to run such a country. And I didn't realize until 2020 that I was doing zero critical thinking on why I hated America at all. Even though I went to college, I got a degree, I've done graduate work, all the things. Yeah, it didn't matter. I did not do any critical thinking about my hatred for America, and now I hear it everywhere. So that, I think, I mean, there'll be things that pop up in here and there, but I think that actually brings me up to 2020, where I had a pretty massive political conversion. Hence the name of and you all are very familiar with where this is going. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to share in a couple weeks, because next week we're going to focus on one of those words that the left has redefined. So if you want, but I want to emphasize, I am not preaching division. In fact, if you want to learn more about what I haven't left behind on the left, I have a newsletter that goes out twice a month called What the Left Gets Right, and you can find it at meganwildhood.com, along with any of my other Substack subscription levels and my writings. My poetry book comes out next month, so if you sign up for that email list, you will get updates on that, and you can pre-order it now, of course. All of those links will be in the description or show notes below. Be sure to find me on BitChute and Rumble as well, in case I get canceled off of YouTube, so that you can keep up with this series, which I'm hoping, God willing, will last the rest of the year. So we'll see you next week on Mondays with Megan. Okay, bye.